Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining our Gender 101 The Basics. As you know, Philadelphia Pride is right around the corner, and we want to make sure that everyone is well versed and educated on the 101 of gender.
We're not here to challenge anybody's cultural or religious beliefs. We're here to just provide resources and facts. And remember, this isn't about perfection, this is about progress. We're all learning together.
That is the key.
So my name is Valentina Rosario. I go by she and AI pronouns, and I am the Teams Program Manager at Galay.
My name is Karem Coriano. I go by they, them pronouns, and I'm the SPLAT Program Manager here at Galay.
Names and pronouns. What are they? So when we ask people what their names and pronouns are, we're actually asking people, what is your chosen name or preferred name? And what are your pronouns? So when we ask what pronouns are, we're asking what people would like to be called when they're not in the room. So when Karim leaves the room and somebody asks me, where did Karim go? I would say, I don't know where they went. I would also use their pronouns in front of them. They are wearing a black shirt and they have on a hat.
So who are we? Galay is a queer and trans, Black, Indigenous, and people of color, QT BIPOC for short, radical social justice organization. Continuing to serve the Latinx community while widening our embrace, Galay provides and facilitates queer educational services, community wellness, and is committed to healing historical harm. Galay is dedicated to creating access, opportunities, sexual empowerment, and economic development for all QT BIPOC individuals, while fighting systemic oppression, structural racism, discrimination, and white supremacy. We are lit, okay?
So our goal is to support with proper usage of pronouns, mutual respect, and creating safe spaces for each other.
Terminology.
So before we get started deep into this training, we want to go over a few words that we might say that not all individuals understand. So bear with us with this terminology before we jump right into the training. Sex assigned at birth is the assignment and classification of people as male, female, intersex, or another sex assigned at birth, often based on the physical anatomy at birth. It is important to note the physical anatomy at birth part. Most doctors will just look at your child's external genitalia and see if it's a penis or vulva or anything in between and say your child is male, female, or intersex. And we know that this is not, yes, it is inaccurate. So the sexes assigned at birth are male, referred to as AMAB or assigned male at birth, female, referred to as AFAB, assigned female at birth, and intersex. Four key components of identifying sex are external genitalia, internal reproductive system, hormone levels, and chromosome patterns. External genitalia, like I said earlier, can be a penis or vulva or anything in between. The internal reproductive systems include testicles, ovaries, and uterus. Hormonal levels include estrogen, testosterone, and progesterone. And chromosome patterns are any patterns besides XX and XY, which are the ones that we usually know. So to identify an AMAP person and to be 100% an AMAP person, which is assigned male at birth, means you have predominantly testosterone in your body, you have an XY chromosome, and you have an external penis and testicle, or an internal testicles. Now, to be 110% AFAB as well, you need to be predominant. You have to have predominantly estrogen, XX, an XX chromosome, and a vulva and female reproductive systems. And then to be intersex can be a combination of testosterone, estrogen, or predominantly progesterone. A combination of any type of chromosome that are in XYXX, and a combination of any testes, uterus, or ovaries.
Gender identity. Gender identity is one's internal sense of being man, woman, neither of these, both, or other. And it's up to the person to decide what gender identity they feel most comfortable with.
Cisgender is an adjective that means identifying as their sex assigned at birth. Cisgender does not indicate biology, gender expression, or sexuality or sexual orientation. Cisgender is not a derogatory term. The prefix cis just means that you are on the same side of. So in Latin, yeah. So just meaning assigned male at birth, identify as man, assigned female at birth, identify as woman. Again, it is not a derogatory term.
The phone is ringing.
So transgender is an umbrella term for people whose gender identity differs from their sex they were assigned at birth. I'm trans. I am an AMAP person, so I was assigned male at birth. And I identify as a woman. And my prefix is trans. Literally just meaning from one to another, is what that prefix means.
It's beautiful. Non-binary. This is me, y'all. This is me. Someone who is non-binary does not identify exclusively male or female, also known as the gender binary, and does not identify as the gender assigned to them at birth. So for me, gender is something that I don't feel the need to identify with. I don't want to identify with male, and I don't want to identify with female. I'm just non-binary. And what's that saying, in between of or outside of?
Right. So as non-binary person, you're either in between the gender spectrum of man and woman, or you're outside of the gender spectrum of man or woman. It's not conforming with what today's societal construct of man and woman is.
Oh yeah, and there's different pronouns that non-binary folks use as well. So some non-binary folks like me, we like to use they, them pronouns, but there's a whole list of other pronouns that folks are using nowadays, like ze, them, or zer, there's so many pronouns. So that's why it's important that, especially with non-binary and trans folks, like we're always asking people their pronouns, because just because you might think that a non-binary person is always going to go by they, them, does not necessarily mean that they're always going to go by they, them.
And it's important to respect people's pronouns. Gender expression is the way a person expresses their gender through clothing, hairstyles, voice, body shape, activities, mannerism. It is important to note that these are all based on today's gender norms and today's gender construct of gender, right? So what people are saying is feminine in today's society is a feminine gender expression. So if people are saying pink is more feminine and long hair is feminine, and having a shapely body is feminine, then somebody's gender expression might be that, right? And same thing for masculine gender expression. There is also androgynous gender expression, non-binary gender expression. There is hyper feminine gender expression. There's so many gender expressions for individuals. This is also something you can hold closely to yourself and identify with yourself. Even if you don't fit what the gender norms are of today, you can say that your gender expression is feminine in whatever feminine way you want, or masculine, whatever masculine way you want.
And a lot of the times I feel like in society, gender expression tends to be very linear, right? So if you're AFAB, you have to wear dresses, skirts, heels, makeup, right? But I think we're moving into a world now where gender expression doesn't have to be linear. If you don't feel like identifying with the expression that society is kind of like forcing on you, you can express yourself in so many different ways.
Sexual orientation.
So sexual orientation is who you're attracted to and want to have relationships with and identify yourself with. Some sexual orientations include straight, gay, lesbian, bisexual, pansexual, asexual, and the list goes on.
Yes. So this would be a nice point to remind people that sexual orientation is who you go to bed with.
Yes.
It's not who you go to bed as. So me as Valentina, I go to bed with a man. I'm straight, right?
Me as Karem, I go to bed with a non-binary unicorn, and that's my partner, you know?
And you're queer.
And I'm queer.
As ever.
Like I said, it's very fluid. The list goes on. Y'all get the tea. Okay?
So understanding the difference between sex assigned at birth, gender, and sexual orientation. So we're going to sound very repetitive, but it's very important that we repeat a few things so individuals really grasp how important it is to understand this difference. So sex assigned at birth is determined by viewing the newborn baby's genitals. Sex assigned at birth does not concern anyone but the person, the person's physicians, their partner, they choose to disclose to, or anyone they choose to disclose to. So understanding this means that if you ask a person their sex assigned at birth, it is very unprofessional and let's be frank, quite weird.
And also can be very triggering to some people too.
Right. Asking somebody their sex assigned at birth is literally asking somebody what's in between your pants. And we're not walking around here asking anybody what's in between their pants. Yeah.
It's none of your business, don't do it. Okay.
And this would also be a good time to let y'all know that intersex people are as common as twins.
Oh
and
yeah,
people
and
with red hair. Yes, that is how common intersex people are. Just to reinforce what I said earlier, doctors usually base sex assigned at birth on a baby's genitals and not on their internal reproductive systems, their chromosome patterns, and their estrogen levels.
Which they should. So gender. Another point about gender is that gender is self-identified and must be respected. Gender identity and expression does not have to align with modern day societal norms, right? Again, gender comes from within. It's who you go to bed as, right? It's who you feel comfortable being and portraying yourself as in this world. And it doesn't have to align with modern day societal norms. Like I said, gender expression is very fluid. Back in the day, it was very strict, but now we're leaning into a world where we can really express ourselves in the most beautiful ways possible.
Yeah. This includes words like man, woman, non-binary, trans man, trans woman, cis man, cis woman. Those are genders. Female, male, and intersex are not genders. Those are sex assigned. Those are really two big different things. Gender is what you bring to the world. So I'm telling you, this is who I am. This is what you should respect, not my sex assigned at birth. Sexual orientation. This is literally the definition for sexual orientation, but sexual orientation is, again, who you go to bed with, right? So